What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Joining me tonight is Calbert. Calbert, what's up?
What's going on, everybody?
We are back to recap the last 3 weeks of the amazing race. Some of the reasons we have not had a show is because 2 weeks ago it was Thanksgiving, and last week I was out with the flu, so it just was not in the cards to get done. So. But we are here tonight to kind of go over everything that we missed and kind of give our opinions about it. So all in preparation for the finale for tomorrow. So should be good. Calbert, I know you're looking forward to it.
I am. I'm a little nervous. I've been in this position a couple times over the last couple seasons, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you've had a good run though. I mean, last season getting second. I mean, that stings when you get that far. But actually, you've been second a few times in the last 4 seasons, I would say. So, I can't remember how your team did in season 32, but I know 31 was you were number 2.
Yep.
And then 32 you were 4th. That's right, because you had D'Angelo and Gary. So you had a second, a 4th, a second.
Yep.
So tomorrow you're going for your first ever first place. Do you think it can happen?
Sure. Derek said right. I got a 33% chance. I guess it's possible. I'm tired of being the bridesmaid, so.
Well, you've never taken 3rd place either.
That's true. I'm very. I either finish dead last, finish 2nd, or take 4th. So.
Well, at least you do not have a streak of your team not even completing the race, being disqualified before it's over. That's probably my most frustrating thing going into this. But,
sure.
Anyways. All right, so let's talk about the mega leg that we have not really discussed yet. These teams were in Spain, coming from France to do the mega leg, and first roadblock that we had teams had to arrange 6 glass panels in order to recreate Pablo Picasso's 3 musicians and receive their next clue. Now, there was a decent amount of struggling in this one. Mm-hmm. The final 5 teams, they all kind of struggled with this, but Marcus and Michael, this was the death nail. Wouldn't you agree?
I would say that, it was the beginning of the death nail.
Yeah.
You started to put it in the coffin. Yeah. Because they even mentioned it when they got eliminated, that was the beginning of the end. But I would say that it was more, this didn't help. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I just think they could have maybe come back, but it was pretty much, this was, they would have had to have done a really solid run. I think they could have beat Emily and Molly? Sure. But they were behind from the 8 ball here because they were by far the last ones to leave this roadblock. They just, was that Michael that was really struggling?
Yeah.
He was lost.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We talked about it, or at least I talked about it for the power rankings, the last show we did. I was like, the attention to detail could be the death nail for them. And sure, so you throw in the attention to detail plus directionally navigation problems. That's a carbon copy for you going home. So they're right. They're both right. If they would have had to race Emily and Molly to the mat, they absolutely would have won in a foot race. But they never got to that point because they couldn't pay attention to the detail, especially for this. Because this was an important thing. My team screwed up with this too. They didn't get the order right the first time, or even the second time. and they were just like, what, I don't know what I'm seeing. What am I looking? It's not making sense. And then suddenly, somehow, it does. So it's just it's a thing. Like, and it's not that they're not. They were a good team. They're a good team. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have any will towards them. I mean, I know I read some of the comments from our last show. Like, yeah,
Yes.
I still stand by my statement, and I ended up being right. Like, the attention to detail plus them being navigationally challenged is what did them in. They could have won this entire thing.
Yeah. They were definitely. I mean, you look at their early body of work; they were definitely contenders, and they just kind of hit the wall.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like Dusty and was it Ryan?
Yeah.
Was it Ryan? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of like them last season, where like they had one bad episode and it just never recovered. And that's kind of how Marcus and Michael was. They just did not recover from their setbacks. So they're very, very similar, and two male teams at that too. So,
Yep.
So yeah. All right. So then after that, we had the first detour of the mega leg. The first detour was called Fish Fry or Sailboat Supply. In Fish Fry, teams had to skewer and roast 18 sardines in order to create a local dish called espetos and receive their next clue. In Sailboat Supply, teams had to inflate a stand-up paddleboard and then deliver life vests in a cooler filled with ice to a yacht anchored offshore in order to receive their next clue. So Luis and Michelle were the only team to choose the Sailboat Supply. Did you like this decision from them?
No, but I have a feeling that they probably chose that because they thought nobody else was going to do it.
Yeah.
Because my thought was, because when I originally saw it, I was like, that's dumb. Make the fish. It's not that hard. Because the fish is there. Like, okay, so you had to, because you had to arrange the fish in a certain way on the skewer, and then you had to try it. Duh.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, but I'm going to venture guess and say that because by the time they got there, and they ended up being right. By the time they got there, the entire fish stations were pretty much covered. Emily and Molly did it. Marcus and Michael did it. Derek's team did it, even though they didn't like making it.
Right.
So that's. But I was very concerned because like that's a lot of upper body strength that you had to use, and then you had to try and hold on to everything because you couldn't drop anything. Because if you did, you had to start over again, and then you had to go all the way out to the yacht. That's a pretty big distance from where it was. Like, it's not like, oh, the yacht's only a little bit out here in the water. And I'm like, no, they were doing some serious swimming while trying to hold on to everything. So
correct. And I think like there was one moment where a wave hit them and they lost a little bit of the ice, but apparently it was enough to get their next clue. They also said they wanted to go swimming, so that was a big reason, I guess, why they chose it. So I don't blame them. They're coming out of a leg like Jordan where it was super hot. They probably wanted to go swimming at some point. So
sure.
Why not? Why not have some fun while you're doing it? In the fish fry, it seemed like the task was probably longer, but as long as you paid attention to the demonstration, I think a lot of teams, at least after a little bit, understood what you had to do. There was a certain way you had to put it on the skewer and place the sardines. But other than that, I don't think this one was too hard. It seemed like the judge was pretty lenient with what they gave him. Anything you want to kind of comment further on this?
It looked like they had to be at least like a little bit brown, right? They had to be, but there had to be a little bit of. It had to be like it looked like it was cooked, right?
Right.
You couldn't just throw it on and then 2 minutes later like turn it over. Which that was the thing too. Like I thought that was interesting. All the girls were pretty much doing the time portion. Okay, it's been 2 minutes. Turn it over. And then just like you said, like if it was at least placed correctly, which that was actually a thing. Like there were a couple that had to go back because they didn't place it correctly on the skewer and it fell apart. And I've done enough barbecuing with fish to know that like you have to put it on right, because otherwise that's exactly what happens. You get nothing but fish guts and bones with you, you know. So
Yeah, you get a bent sardine and it's just not good.
right. But yeah, so I mean, if it were me, I would have done this challenge. Obviously, it's the easier challenge to do. And you're right. The judge was very, very lenient, more lenient than the captain of the yacht, because I was very concerned when Luis almost dropped what looked like most of the ice. I was like, crap, if he drops enough, like they're gonna make him go all the way back, and he's got to swim. So, but he didn't, and there was some good luck. So yeah, I thought the fish one was the easier choice. That's the one I would have done. And it wasn't too terribly hard. Like, but that's the thing. Like, nobody really paid attention. Like, even Emily and Molly didn't quite go to the demonstration table right away. Like, they were just, okay, we'll just kind of see how this works. And okay, cool. You know. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had. So go ahead.
Yeah. So there's really not much else to really talk about in this episode. I mean, I don't know. It was a decent episode. I enjoyed the tasks. It was kind of a, it was semi-tropical type, which was cool. We got to see a water task, which there wasn't really that many up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I was happy to kind of see that. But what'd you think of the episode altogether? What would you have scored it for the first half of the Mega Leg in Spain?
I gave it a 6 just because they got to ride bikes, and they mentioned like, hey, look, we're riding bikes in Spain. Like almost every team mentioned that. Hey, look, we're like enjoy the scenery. We're riding bikes in Spain. So I gave it a 6.
And how about Derek too? Like he's very uncomfortable riding a bike. I thought that was funny.
I thought that was interesting. Which I get. Like it's not easy. But like that's kind of what we kind of figured out with this team is that Derek can't lead. Or let me rephrase, Derek shouldn't lead.
Yeah. But then Claire, she's had her difficulties too with the roadblocks at times. So
yeah, she has.
So I don't know. Like I don't know. We'll talk about it at the end when we're all kind of caught up. But yeah, I'm going to give this episode about a 6.7 out of 10. It was okay, but no elimination, not a lot of drama. Just kind of a placing episode. I mean, it was kind of it was another way they could skirt around, not having an elimination every week, or they said, there was no non-elimination leg, but they had 2 Mega Legs to kind of, I don't know, make up for that. So
right.
That's kind of how I view this. So yeah, 6.7. So all right, so let's go to the second. Let's go to the second episode in the Mega Leg. They started off with the detour of, or I'm sorry, the roadblock of one. Actually, no, it did start off with the detour. It was bend over backwards or dress for success. In bend over backwards, teams had to assemble a Moorish brick arch in order to receive their next clue. In dress for success, teams had to accessorize a flamenco dancer so that she matched an onstage performer in order to receive their next clue. So I guess we didn't do this. We should probably go back and ask you. So which one would you have done in the first episode of the Mega Leg? Would you have done the fish fry or the sailboat supply?
I would have done the fish fry.
Okay.
10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
I would have read the clue and gone, okay, all we have to do is fry some fish. Let's go. Like, because that's the thing. Like, the fish are dead. Like, I can't. I mean, all right, Peter, don't get on me. They're already dead. So like, they can't be hurt anymore because they're already dead. So just put them on the skewer and basically cook them. It's like making an egg, right? Depends on how you want to make your egg, but usually an egg takes anywhere between 2 to 5 minutes. right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people like to flip it, flip the egg. Same deal. So I would have done the fish. And this one, which this actually was where I officially said out loud to no one in the room, Marcus and Michael are going home. Because if you knew, and they knew, that they were behind, do the easier task. So all you have to do is basically you're dressing the flamingo dancer. So you look at the dancer as they're dancing, and you go, okay, the hardest thing might be maybe the earrings, right? Because you weren't exactly sure about the size of the of the earrings, right? Because they had a whole bunch. They had to go to a shop and find all the things. That might have been the only difficult part. So if I'm Marcus and Michael at that point, I go, do the easier task. But of course, that's not what they did. And then, of course, because that's not what they did, they didn't get it right out of the gate, which they had to get right out of the gate, and they didn't get it right out of the gate.
Yeah.
That's it. They're done. They're done.
I actually think they should have done the sailboat supply, because if you think about it, the fish fry, you had to basically wait for that thing to cook.
That's true.
If you would have done sailboat supply like right off the bat, it's the physical challenge, and you could have possibly gained some ground on Emily and Molly. And I actually, depending on who I'm with, if I'm with a good swimmer, I'm a decent swimmer. I'm not a great swimmer, but if I'm with a decent swimmer, I'm going to actually choose sailboat supply, because I think if you can just manage keeping that ice bucket and keeping it away from the waves, and I think you can do that task pretty simply. So I think Marcus and Michael there made a key mistake of not doing the sailboat supply. I think they could have gained some ground on Emily and Molly. But for this task, I agree with you. I think building the arch was a lot tougher, and they clearly had issues with putting the stones in between the bricks. But then again, if you think about it, they would have been fine doing that task. But in the previous episode, I think if they do sailboat supply, they might have been at least able to keep it even. Because if you had to dress the dancer, I mean, that could be tough too, because they're not good at attention to detail. And that task was quite, there was a lot of attention to detail there. So just my thoughts on this.
No, and it was cool. And it was. I mean, I'm glad somebody. By the way, I'm not. I know it sounds like I'm burying them. Like, I'm glad somebody actually did it. I'm glad somebody did the test so I could see what it looked like. But yeah, that's exactly right. If you knew that you had an issue with the Picasso challenge in the episode before, the attention to detail portion is going to screw you up no matter which one of you decides to do which one. Like, and obviously they had to do both, or they had to do it as a team. For both these. So that's why I was just like, that's where you make up the time. So you're right. Like, theoretically, they probably should have. They probably should have done the supply to go with the yacht, to go to the yacht as opposed to fish. But I guess it really didn't matter, because they probably would have screwed up the flamingo dancing anyway, which, by the way, everybody did. Like, no one got the flamingo portion, if I remember correctly. No one got the flamingo dancing right out of the gate. Like, it took them, because most of the time it was either the pearls or the earrings, or the I think it was
the clap. Yeah, there was a name for it, like the clapper things or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. What did you think of the so you had Claire and Derek helping out David and Aubrey in the first task, because David and Aubrey had no idea like how to cook the sardines at first.
Right.
And then Derek and Claire helped them, and then I guess David and Aubrey, they did return the favor, but Derek and Claire were kind of like, They weren't. They're just like, you guys go. Don't worry about us. So, do you think that was a good move? I guess at this point it really didn't matter. But what were your thoughts on that?
Because it really hadn't happened a whole lot this season. I mean, there was only like one other time when when people were looking at maps, right? So I'm thinking of my team with like when they were looking with Quinn and Maddie. I really don't think it honestly mattered, and they're right. Like if they would have waited, it's a foot race to the mat.
Yeah.
So you can't wait.
Right. Yeah, there wasn't much room for it.
Right. So I mean, I didn't think anything of it really. I mean, I thought it was nice, but like, I was just like, okay, we're at that point where like, we're trying to we are, the separation of teams has already occurred. So sure, help somebody out, make them feel better. So that way they're not sitting. Just think about it, like for just a second, like to go back to the fish thing for just half a second. If they didn't time how long it took to cook the fish, they'd still be there because they'd have no idea.
Yeah, they didn't seem like they were catching on to it pretty. Now, granted, they just got there, but
right.
Yeah, it really didn't seem like they were like catching on to it fairly quickly. So,
right.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think I also would have done the flamenco dancer. There was something about the bricks that just seemed like it was going to confuse you no matter what.
It was,
and I don't know. I just was not feeling it. I wasn't huge on the other task either, but if I think I had to, do one, I would pick the flamenco dancer. So.
Right. Because that's the thing. It's not like you're dancing. You're not dancing. You're watching somebody else dance.
Correct.
So like that's the thing. Like, and that other task, it looked time consuming to me.
Mm-hmm.
Going like, so basically I'm trying to build an archway. Basically what I'm trying to build in between the stones. Like that's really hard by itself. Plus, I knew that thing was freaking heavy.
Correct. And and there wasn't any support.
No.
You had to make it so it all basically stuck together,
right.
Which was the interesting thing about it. And you had to do the whole rock. It's just, yeah, that one, I don't know. There was something about that task that I would have done the dancer. So then we go to our final roadblock of the Mega League in Spain. And in this one, you had to one team member, regardless of who performed the first roadblock, had to walk across a tightrope suspended 300 feet above the El Tajo Gorge and strung beneath Puente Nuevo. Select the clue marked with the flag of Andalusia and return it to their partner. I don't think anybody did anyone get this wrong at first? I'm trying to remember if anyone did. I thought everybody basically picked the right flag.
Everybody did pick the right flag, but I was concerned. Okay. Like, and I'm sitting at home going, okay, well, one of those is Spain, so that's out.
Yes.
When you're looking at the option now, because that's the thing too, like, which.
And you also just got the clue with the flag by it, so that was your hint.
Person
right
had
there.
The flag up in her hand, and I was like,
yep.
Okay, it's not that hard, right? So like, and of course it would suck. Like, granted, I'm not the greatest with heights. Okay, which I was going to poke some fun at Aubrey and Claire, but I'm not going to do that. I really, really want to, but I'm not going to, because they both struggled with this. Because neither one of them likes heights. Claire really doesn't like heights.
Yeah.
I mean, Aubrey wasn't great with it either, but like, and I.
Can we talk about Claire?
Don't
talk to me.
Yeah,
don't talk to me.
How you doing, hon? Don't talk to me.
Yeah. Don't talk to me.
What do you want? I'm on. Yeah. I mean, I get that. Like, I can be that way. Like sometimes when I'm really trying to focus on something.
Yeah.
I understood, right? I understood what Albie was trying to do. Like, hey, like we're doing this together. We're okay. It's all right. And just go, no, don't talk to me. I'm focusing. And then just to freaking lose it when you're on the ground. Like, good job, Derek. You could have consoled her, but better than what you did.
Yeah. Yeah, it was she was not in a good mood. I mean, I understand you're 300 feet in the air, but I mean, obviously you have a lot of safety support. It's still, if you have a fear of heights, obviously it's a little nerve wracking, but
Well, and of course, right? What did David say? Right? David said, "Don't look down," which that's just mean, right? It's funny.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
funny, but it's mean, right? Because that's whatever. And that's the thing. Like the producers, we know the producers try this beforehand, right, to make sure that it's something that's doable. And
mm-hmm.
so you just you stay. And oh wait, let me backtrack for just a second. Then Claire got mad at the person that set them up for them to walk across with all the harnesses and stuff. Like she's like, no, I want to go over here.
Yeah,
You can't.
yeah,
You can't. Like there are obviously rules, and so like that's the thing too. That's why I was just like, oh, okay. Like once I'm over there, like, okay, I understand it now. I mean, it would have taken me a minute or two to figure it out too. Okay, oh, I'm supposed to find the flag. Okay, find it, hook it up, got it. Okay, on my way. But like, if it wasn't for the the line across the way, which 300 feet's that's up there. I mean, it's not, it's not like bug territory, like when you're in a plane, but
right.
it's up there. But like, so you just focus on that part. Like that's the thing I didn't get. Like they basically, I think if they could have, they would have like army crawled, zip lined their way across. I think that's what they originally thought they had to do when they got up there.
Mm-hmm.
Which they didn't. But and that's the thing. Like I was just like, okay, like yeah, that's gonna suck. But it kind of goes back to what we were talking about early on in the season. Like at some point, some people that haven't done anything are going to have to do some stuff.
Yeah, there's always a heights challenge. I mean, no
Right.
matter what season you are. You know what though? Like if I'm thinking about it, like most of the heights challenge, I think I could have done. Like there was no bungee jumping, no skydiving. So
Right.
I think I could have done a scaling, and I think I could have done the tightrope. I really do, because I'm sort of afraid of heights, but I think these I could have actually done. So
Right.
I mean, I would do the skydiving if I had to for $1,000,000, but and plus I'm on a TV show, but it's not one that I would look forward to. We'll just say that.
Sure.
So yeah, Marcus Michael, after the part where, like you said, where they struggled on building the arch, I think they were pretty much done in the water. I don't think a foot race would have helped them here. They were far behind enough to where the point where they were not going to be able to just make any ground up. So Emily and Molly are good at attention to detail. There's no way they were going to catch them. So going over
it did take
the results.
to get the flag. She was like, I don't get it.
Go ahead. Sorry.
She was like, I don't get it. When she read the clue, she was like, I don't understand. I'm like, you're supposed to find the flag. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, she was debating.
Yeah.
She was absolutely debating. I mean, did I see the Puerto Rico flag to the far left?
Yes.
Yeah, they were throwing a bunch of random. I was gonna say, like, most people should be able to distinguish that not being and do
Right.
Oh gosh, I forgot the name of the country, but yeah, most people would have got that, and the Spain one. It's like, okay, this is not that. But I mean, seriously though, the flag was Andalusia. So
right.
that was the one. So All right. So for placing for this leg, we had coming in at first place was Luis and Michelle. You had to be pretty happy about that. They had a solid mega leg.
Yep.
Second place, we had Aubrey and David. Now this was pretty surprising. Like Aubrey and David almost seemed like they were gaining a lot of momentum here. There was something about them though. Like I just wasn't buying it. You know, like a second place finish. It's just, I think that's pretty solid job that they made it to the Final Four though. So, and we'll talk about them a little later. And then Derek and Claire coming in at third, Emily and Molly coming in at fourth, and being eliminated is Marcus and Michael. You know, like I mean, we already kind of talked about them. Solid team, but attention to detail definitely hurt them, and they could not get out of their own way towards the end of their run. So.
It's the theme of the show, right? I mean, that's what this show basically is. It's all about the attention to detail. I mean, yes, it's about memory and physical stuff, but it's the attention to detail. It's the being able to drive from point A to point B without getting lost.
Yeah, if you don't have it, you're not going to win.
Right.
You're just not. I mean, we saw Dusty and Ryan last year.
Right.
Attention to detail got them in the final leg. I mean, they could not figure out the elevator. Right. Marcus Michael, same thing here with the painting. They could not put that together. He had it upside down. So,
right.
They had a good run though, 5th place.
Yep.
Not bad. All right, so then the penultimate leg here, going to Iceland. What would you rate the second episode of the Mega Leg in Spain?
I gave it a 7 out of 10 only because of the flag.
Okay.
That's it. I thought the flag was cool. Like, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I give it again a 6.7. Like, it was just okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing great. But, I liked how they had to do a heights challenge. That was cool.
Right.
But other than that, it was meh. It was just meh. But I'll tell you this, though. This Iceland one we're about to talk about, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it might have been the best of the season.
I agree.
Yeah, it was really strong. So let's go over it. So for leg 9, this was technically, they travel to Reykjavik, Iceland. And once in Iceland, teams traveled by helicopter to Solheimajökull Glacier, where they received their next clue and began the leg in groups 15 minutes apart based on the order of their arrival at the previous pit stop. So then the roadblock, one team member had to himself 100 feet into a cave, retrieve their next clue, then navigate down a river through a canyoneering course to reunite with their partner. I mean, this is basically where the wheels fell off for David.
Mm-hmm.
He even said he is not a swimmer at all. This was probably the worst detour for the worst roadblock he could have done, because he had trouble getting to the clue. He was passed up by, I think, at least a couple teams. Even Emily and Molly, I think, got past him at one point, I think. Or no, maybe he was able to beat that. Maybe they were able to at least keep the lead on them. But they definitely got past, Luis and Michelle definitely got past them, I believe.
I had when I was watching this part of the episode, it looked very familiar to the one last year. I think they had to do something very, very similar to this.
They did in Corsica.
That's why I was like,
it was canyoneering. That it looks fun though. I would love to do that.
Right.
Yep, I love swimming. I love venturing through different places and whatnot.
But you're exactly right. And then he got let out at the wrong spot. Like, he thought it was like actually inside the cave.
Yes.
Like, what are you doing?
Yes. What are you doing? Yeah, he had no clue. Yeah, David had no clue. Like, he couldn't find the clue, and he had trouble just getting over to it. But it looked a lot of fun. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got to the detour. Oh, we did forget to mention though that when they got to the glacier, they had to climb it up and retrieve the flag of Iceland in order to receive the next clue. So that was another fun thing they got to do.
Which they both had.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, most people did pretty good with it. Even Emily, I mean, she didn't do too bad with the bum knee.
True. And
Derek didn't really know though. He had some trouble.
Claire had no trouble with that one.
No, she didn't.
That's fine. It's being on a rope I have an issue with. Although I will say, like, I did think it was kind of funny that nobody really knew how to get down.
Yeah, they could get up, but they could not get down.
Right.
So that was a lot of fun. So then in the detour, teams had to don, or actually it wasn't even a detour, it was just a route info. At Silfra Fissure, teams had to don snorkeling gear, memorize 14 Icelandic volcanoes and the eruption years while swimming in the fissure, and match the names of the volcanoes with the correct year of eruption. When they were correct, a volcanologist revealed the location of the pit stop, the Gullfoss in Rummenhöruper. I can't even pronounce it. But this was another cool task, I thought. Now, Chris, have you ever went snorkeling?
I have.
Now, what did you think of snorkeling? Did you like it?
No, I snorkeled with manatees. So it was me and my entire family. We got up at 3:00 in the morning. We had to be at the snorkel place by 6. We had to watch a hour-long video on manatees and how to snorkel. And yeah, but it was a lot of fun. I thought it was okay. It was mostly just my suit that I had the issues with. The snorkel part was fine, but the suit was a little tight. So, but a lot of fun. We had a good time. So.
Yeah, so similar experience to you. I did snorkel in Typhoon Lagoon, the water park in Disney World in Florida. They had tiger sharks, bunch of fish, stingrays. The stingrays, they took the stingers out, obviously. But
Sure.
The one thing that I can mention is it takes a bit to get used to breathing through the tube.
Yep.
And the other thing is, I mean, unless your goggles are on like super tight, water gets in there, so it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah, it is.
So I can only imagine, like, if you're not a good swimmer to begin with, that you're going to struggle, looking through this. And David, clearly, this was the worst challenge they possibly could have had right at the end there with the swimming. Because, you have to get adjusted to the breathing. And the viewing, if it's not on correctly, you're going to get water in there. It's going to be hard to see. So I can easily see why they were eliminated here. Now you can call it lucky for Emily and Molly, but that's what it's all about. Sometimes luck, that's all you need.
Well, I think Emily and Molly did it. Correctly, right? Because they remembered every other one, right? So one was on the other. That's how you do it. Which that was also that was also Derek and Claire's. I'm sorry, Aubrey and David. Sorry, Aubrey and David's downfall. Like, they were like, "Are you sure that?" Like, they'd get to the board, and then they're like, "Are you sure that's right?" Because that's the thing. Like, if you screwed up, obviously they knew they had to go back, but like you couldn't fix it. You couldn't go, "Oh wait, crap, that one should go there. That one should go there." You can't do that then.
Right.
There's no fixing. So, I mean, I get it. I felt bad for him too, because I was like, I'm not the greatest swimmer either, but what, for $1 million, I'm gonna, and he did. He gave it his all. Like, he tried, but like I would have kept going. Like, that's the thing too. Like, because you'd have to swim all the way back, right? So, I mean, I get it. You took the penalty, so.
And Derek and Claire, I mean, they got it their first try, didn't they? Or was it their second try?
Second try. They got it on the
second try. Everybody had to at least do it twice.
Right.
Yeah, you're correct there. Derek, and yeah, I think that would have been probably the best way, but you also got to really trust your partner to do their job and then you to do yours. So as long as you guys were both in sync, I think that, that task would have been relatively easy. But if you didn't, I think there would have been a lot of issues.
I would have struggled with the years part. It would have been the remembering of the volcano. It would have been the what year did it happen? That would have been the hard part for me. Because to your point, that's exactly right. Like that's the main thing. But to your point, like if the goggles are all screwed up, you can't see. So like, you're making out every other letter or every other number, and there's a difference between 1400 and 1425.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. It's especially like the pronunciations. Mm-hmm. You saw how tough it is for me just to say these names.
Yep.
This was absolutely challenging. So, all right. So then Derek and Claire got the first place victory here. Coming in second place was Lisa and Michelle. And coming in third was Emily and Molly. And being eliminated because they took the penalty because they knew they weren't going to be able to get it. They struggled so much just going through the course twice was David and Aubrey. For a team that I had no expectations for them to get all the way to fourth place. Now, do I think my team could have beaten them? Yes, I do. Will and Abby, absolutely. I think they were stronger, but I got to give them credit. I mean, they ran a pretty solid race, and bearing a swimming challenge, they absolutely could have made it to the final three.
Sure. I did the same thing. I buried them. They were one of the very first teams that I buried right away. Like it wasn't the first team. Hello, Team Rex. But I was stunned that they made it as far as they did. I think they were kind of too. Or at least that was my impression of them when they got on the mat. They were like, hey, you know what? We did really well. And you're right. Like they would have definitely made it to the top three, I think, if it wasn't for a swimming challenge.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine? Like the one benefit for everybody is that it was a cloudy day. I don't know if you did the snorkeling when it was sunny. We did it when it was sunny. It's really, really. I mean, the water's very clear, but it's hard to see when the sun's being reflected off it.
So I did this like a couple times throughout my life because I've been to Typhoon Lagoon a few times, but the last time I did it was actually on my honeymoon. And we were the last people to go that day because a giant storm was coming in. So I'm like, we barely made the cutoff, and then the line closed behind us. So we were the last team to go. So, or not last team, but we were the last people to go with our group. And, it was actually cloudy, but it wasn't like super cloudy to where you couldn't really see. But, it was kind of nerve wracking being in there with sharks. I'm not going to lie, but yeah, it's tough though. Like we talked about, you have to get adjusted to it, and you have to get used to looking through the goggles. So yeah, it takes a bit, and you're not a good swimmer to be on top of that. I can absolutely see why they were eliminated, and Emily and Molly were able to survive. So what would you rank this episode?
I gave it a 9 out of 10, which is right up there with the premiere episode of the season. That's how good I really like this episode, just because of all the they had to. Plus it's Iceland. Like that's a cool place.
Beautiful. Yep. One of the guys we do the heel cast with, he just actually came back from Iceland, so it was cool to see. But I give this episode a good 9.5. The only thing it was missing was a little drama. If it would have had a little drama, I think it's a 10. I don't think you could have gotten a better episode. Like everything looks spectacular. All the tasks were really exciting, and it'd be something that you would love to do. So,
Cheers.
yeah, I'm going to give this a 9.5. All right. Now the fun part. Power ranking time. Who do you got going into the final leg tomorrow in Nashville, Tennessee? Who do you got taking third place?
I have Emily and Molly taking third.
Oh, okay.
I will say that I did kind of say, and I remember what I said on the last podcast, that I thought that they wouldn't finish the last leg, meaning the leg in Spain. They did that, and they're in the top 3. But I think at some point that leg's got to give out. It's got no choice. It clearly is bothering her a lot.
Oh yeah.
And Marcus and Michael were exactly right, and Emily and Molly know this too. Like, they know that if they have to sprint to the bat, they're screwed.
Yes.
Even if Derek trips and falls 4 times, Derek still wins.
Yes. Yeah, they're gonna have to run a perfect leg as far as with figuring out challenges, being able to do them quickly. Anything physical, I'm, they're pretty much SOL. The benefit for them, if they can maintain the pace and then do the puzzle quicker than the other two, they got a chance. They got a chance. But I have to put them at 3. They're clearly the weakest team. But they might be the smartest though. So physically, they definitely are the worst. But mentally, they're definitely, I think, the smartest team. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they run their race tomorrow. But I still got to put them at 3. All right, who you got at 2?
2, I have Derek and Claire.
Okay.
They could win this entire thing. They've been up at the top pretty much the entire show. They could win the entire thing. Now, the bias in me says Goldberg's won enough. No more winning for him. But they're really good. I mean, they're good. The only downfall that I could see is some type of directional thing. Because we know they're going to Nashville. Have they been there before? What are the type of tests they have to do? We've kind of read the preview. We were at the preview before we started the podcast. But so we can see from the preview that they're having to do some walking, some pretty decent walking too, I would say. Just a handful of blocks. So, and it looks like to me that it's at night, and so we know, so we've seen this before for other seasons. Tasks are different at night than they are during the day. Duh.
Yes.
I think that could be a downfall. We'll see. I don't exactly know what they have to do for it, other than we know they have to play a giant piano and they have to do something with guitars. So here in Nashville, that makes sense, right? I could see a directional thing for them being an issue, and we know, especially for them, directions aren't necessarily the easiest thing. You're not going to be able to necessarily, because Nashville's a big freaking city now. They're getting 1,000 people are moving there, a month. 500 people are moving there a month. I mean, it's you're not going to be able to squat in the middle of the road and figure this out. You're in a pretty decent site, so that could be their downfall. But they could also win it all. We'll see. They're a good team.
Yeah. They are. I mean, they did have a couple. They started off really hot, and then they kind of went down a little. Not terribly, but they went down a few. I think they had a 7th place finish, and then a couple mid-tier finishes. But they are coming on strong again, kind of like how they started. There's something about them that they don't scream winner to me. I got to put them at 2 as well. But would it shock me if they won? No, absolutely not. I mean, I think they definitely could win this. I mean, they are smart enough, even though they do a lot of dumb things at sometimes. And Derek, he's very cringeworthy.
Claire can struggle and also do some interesting things. But right now, I'm looking at how much fun Luis and Michelle are having, and I think that's the attitude you kind of want to go in to the finale with. So, yeah, I got Derek and Claire too. And I guess we just kind of talk about why we put Luis and Michelle at 1. So, Calbert, why don't you go and talk about why you think they're going to win it all?
So this is my kiss of death, right? It's been my team from the beginning. I'm not allowed to have nice things. We just established at the beginning of the podcast how things have gone for me when I've had a team get this far. And they're so close. But I genuinely think that they have put this into a vision. And usually when this team has put something into a vision, stuff turns out pretty good for them. They dream about it. They can see it. They can taste it. They can smell it. Outside of a couple of minor things, for example, like the car, right, where Luis almost hit Michelle, and when they were dragging the man-made IKEA looking thing when it came apart. Outside of that, there really hasn't been a whole lot of struggle. There really isn't a whole lot that it seems like that they can't do. And even if they screw up once, they generally don't screw up more than one time. They generally figure it out. And this is where possibly being able to speak another language might help. I don't know a lot about Tennessee, other than I've been to Nashville. I spent a couple days, just like you. Maybe that comes into account. We know the puzzle is waiting for them, because the puzzle waits for everybody, and we know how well they did in Jordan with the puzzle. So, I genuinely think that they're going to win this entire thing. Now, you're right. Would it shock me if Derek's team won? No, wouldn't shock me at all. But I'm going to bet more money on Michelle over Claire. She's just gonna figure it out, because that's just what they just go. Okay, ready, let's go, and they just do it. And generally, and we've seen in the season that they do it relatively quickly, and they do it, and they generally finish in the top 3, the top 4, the top 5. They're consistent, and that's what you're looking for at this particular moment. You're looking for consistency, So.
Yeah, their worst leg was their first leg.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So
I'm putting Luis and Michelle at 1. The one thing, I like their attitude. I think that's the main reason I'm putting them at 1, but they're also obviously in a really big hot streak right now. The one thing that does concern me, they're definitely one of the more physically gifted teams on this race. The final puzzle, though, how much will they be able to figure this out? I don't know. I'm a little unsure of it at this point with them.
Well, you would think, knowing what we know, right? Knowing of when Michelle had to rappel down the wall, right? She does the little acronym things that work out, right? She figures it out. She's clearly the brains of the operation.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you on that. The problem is they're going up against 2 teams that, Derek and Claire might be clumsy, but I think they got a lot of brains. I really do. I could be wrong, but those 2 teams, I think, have the advantage when it comes to the final puzzle. Luis and Michelle, they're not bad. They're not like dumb or anything. I just don't know, if they're going to win this. I think they want to get out into at least a comfortable lead and try to, take it home. But I'm putting them at 1. But I think the gaps between these 3 are pretty small, despite the fact that Emily and Molly are going in with a small handicap physically. But Derek and Claire, Luis and Michelle, I mean, you could almost flip a coin here of who you want or who you think is going to take first. So, I'm putting it at 1, but it's very slim. Now, if Emily and Molly win this thing tomorrow, would this be the biggest upset since season 25 with the Candy Scientists?
No, because I actually liked Emily and Molly, right? Goldberg and I, we we spoke poetically about them for a couple of weeks, actually, about how smart they are and how well they were doing and how well they were finishing. Right? So it wouldn't shock me at all if they won it. What would have if Team Rex would have won this? That would have shocked me.
Though, I think this is an upset. I mean, we did not put Emily and Molly that high. I mean, okay, yes, Team Rex, yes, obviously with the physical liability of Rex. But this team with the injury they have and they come out and win the whole thing, A, that'd be an amazing story. But B, they're a good team, but I'm shocked they're at this point, especially with what we know. So I think it would be a pretty big upset if they won, but that's just my opinion.
Fair enough.
So Calbert, what you got to be nervous about it. I mean, you're at this point again, same as last season. Well, technically you were not in the same spot because me and you were kind of in the same. Well, let's be real. We did pick two teams that were disqualified, but then we got to repick. So I guess Dusty and Ryan, I made it to the final three, but still, you got to be nervous here. This is the team you picked from the start, made it to the final three. Here's your time to shine. Let's see if you can go grab the brass ring.
I'm not allowed to have it. I'm not allowed to have nice things. We'll see. Like I am generally nervous. And because it's musically inclined. Like that's the thing too, by the way, for just half a second.
Yes.
We don't exactly know. Okay, Michelle is a dancer. Can she? Okay, there's a difference between dancing to music and being able to play it. My educated guess would be that they both know how to play musical instruments.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be my guess. My guess would we know that Derek can play the piano. So because he said it.
Yes, he can. Yeah, he's pretty. He's very talented apparently at it too.
Right. So the wild card that we don't know is, can Emily and Michelle do it?
Molly.
I'm sorry, Emily and Molly.
Mm-hmm.
Can Molly do it? We don't know. So, my guess is, this is just my guess, that I'm finally going to be able to, because I'm not going to know what to do with myself if my team actually wins. I could be like Goldberg and just retire and say, that's it, I've had enough, thank you very much, see you later. I'm not going to do that. But give a point like that, because I just think back to when they had in Chicago, when they had to build the drums. Oh, I know how to build the drums. I've done it before. Well, let's play Seven Nation Army. I've done it before.
Yes.
We're good. We're good. I've had the rug ripped under me way too often. I'm kind of like the Dallas Cowboys of days and days. I get very close and I don't touch anything. But I always go, let's go Cowboys, right? I'm obviously joking, but you get my point. Like this right. I'm generally nervous. I think this is the closest I can actually get to actually having a team win that I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. And
yeah, I think. I mean, there's you could argue they're the favorites. You could argue Derek and Claire's the favorites too. I mean, obviously Emily and Molly, in my opinion, are definitely the underdogs here. So you got that going for you.
Watch them, but to your point, watch them win it, right? Because we did this last season, right? Even though we knew had about that at this point that the teams that were there, we kind of figured it wasn't a shock.
Mm-hmm. No, the Holderness family. No, I think they were cruising quite a bit towards the end. And the flight attendants were strong too. But
that's what I'm saying. Emily and Molly, I don't think would be. I don't put them up with the scientists. You're right. The scientists, in hindsight, that's an upset. For Emily and Molly to be at this point, it doesn't surprise me.
Right.
Now,
yeah, they're
how they fit will. And that's the thing. Like, let's go back for just half a second to the premiere episode. I only took this team because they're married.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason why I took them. Now, granted, thus far, things are looking very, very good. I don't know how. I'm interested. I'm interested to see, what the final portion of the task is.
Yeah. Same here. I don't think we know anything about it.
Yeah, it can't just be like, it's obviously not going to. You're not going to build a piano, right? My guess would be, because you're in Nashville, you probably have to play a song. You might have to sing. Kind of like some karaoke type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Would be my. That's just my guess. We don't know anything. I just kind of read you guys the preview. Like, that's what has to happen. So, we'll see.
I mean, it's a gauntlet. We know it's a gauntlet.
Right.
It's going to be tough. You're going to be going through probably 3 to 4 tasks, and plus the final puzzle.
Right, and you're exactly right. And that's the thing. That's the thing that we don't know. We don't know about the puzzle. So that would also be a point for Emily and Molly. We know they're good at puzzles. I just told you they were. So they did the.
That's an advantage they have on their side, but the physicality is going to definitely slow them down.
And we also know, because we've watched the show long enough, know that the puzzle is probably going to be the last thing that they have to do, because that's usually that tends to be what happens with the show, is that's the last thing that they have to do. Now, do they have to do it inside? Do they have to do it outside? Because that's the thing too. Like, we've seen in seasons past where sometimes you have to do it outside. I'm thinking of the not the In For My Team that finished in second the last time in Chicago, but there were a couple of seasons beforehand that they had to finish in Chicago, and they had to finish at, I believe it was Navy Pier, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think you're correct there. And then obviously we've had it in San Francisco Giant Stadium, and then the Naval Yard, and then we've had it in the Superdome in Louisiana.
Correct. Yep.
So, yep.
It's actually not on TV, by the way. I've seen that up close and personal over the summer. It's not that big. I mean, it's size, but it's not as big as you think.
Yeah, I mean, it looks big on TV, but I'll take your word for it. I believe it. Well, that's the thing. Are they going to be at the Tennessee Titans Stadium this time?
That'd be my guess. My guess is either they finish it in the Titans Stadium, or they finish it in the Predator Stadium.
Yeah, could go either one.
Right.
So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I always love to see the final 3 here, because it's who's the best of the best. Who's going to take the title home? Hopefully, last season's finale was pretty good. It was pretty close. Let's hope we don't have like a season 32 where it was kind of a blowout from the beginning.
I was just about to say the same thing, and that's the thing too. Like, that's kind of what we've seen this season, is that it's generally, now we don't know because of time. It's looked like it's been relatively close, with the exception of like this last episode, right? They took it, but when Lynn and Sheree got eliminated,
right?
When Glenda and Lubama got eliminated, right? I mean, that was, it was pretty clear that it wasn't as close as
that they weren't coming back from that. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's gonna be. I generally think it's gonna be close. It's not gonna shock me if any of the teams win. Hopefully, it's mine. So I can hold it over you guys for the next season.
Well, I think season 35 is already wrapped up, or at least close to it. So we should be getting another season relatively quick. So, so that'll be good at least.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, Calbert. Well, we will be back. We're gonna try to do this thing right after the finale tomorrow. I don't see why we wouldn't be able to. So, should be a lot of fun. Any final comments going into the finale?
Looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun.
That it should, and I can't wait to get this season over with, so we can get to next season, and I finally can maybe have a team that finishes the whole race without, getting disqualified. So, But anyways, that'll take care of us for tonight. For Calbert, for Hurls, we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully, for the finale.
Have a good night,
Peace.